What is this all for? What's the point? Many bright minds and philosophical movements ask these questions for ages and left kilometers of texts, hundreds of books, but if we remove all the cultural and religious layers, then the essence will be simple. But the modern man is more inclined to trust science. And today we will answer these questions based on scientific facts. Watch this video till the end and you will understand what's the meaning of life and why did we come into this world. But in order not to be baseless in the phrase, why did we come into this world, in the beginning we need to synchronize in the world creation. For that, we will look into quantum mechanics. Everybody knows that if you look at this arm, this shirt, this chair under the microscope, you can see molecules, atoms, and elemental particles like electrons, photons, and what's most surprising, how they're drawn on our pictures. It's not quite like that. It's for our understanding, for some image, but these small balls, which represent protons, electrons, it's a certain form, but electron doesn't have a form, just like it doesn't have its own position, which already breaks our ideas and our brains about how is it possible. I don't want to waste your time with long talks. Let's go to the essence. So let's look at the very famous experiment, which is called Two-Slit experiment. There are a lot of descriptions and examples of it in the internet. If you don't know it, you can watch that later. But now we'll get to the essence of what it tells us about how the world works. The thing is, if we are observing and we are measuring some particle, for example, electron, then it behaves like a particle when we are observing it. But if the observer is not there, it behaves as a wave, which is a completely different behavior from a particle. It starts interacting with other particles, which is called interference. It gets into superposition, and already that means that 100 plus 100 won't mean 200, but 400. And the results of this experiment are very well known. So what does it tell us? It tells us that if in everyday life, and usually it's like that, nobody is observing elemental particles, they're behaving themselves in a totally different way, like a wave. So our world is a wave world, it's a probabilistic world. With our intention, with our question, we can structurize it and change this wave, change this reality. So everything around us is permeated by this energy of different density, different vibration, but still around us, this energy field exists. We are in it. We are consisted from it. And in different cultures, it's called in different ways. Somebody calls it chi, somebody Tsi, somebody Tao, or as Buddha said, living void. Or, as quantum mechanics says that, I love to give this example that around us there's a quantum soup. And why we don't feel that around us everything is one, and we are created from the same thing as this camera, this table? How can we impact our reality? Something stands in our way. And that is our ideas, our limitations. And in order to understand how our ideas are limiting us, let's get back to quantum mechanics. So you see a star in the sky. It means that the light from the sky traveled for millions of years and got in your retina. And these elemental particles, photons, they moved for a certain amount of time until they reached your retina. And if you measure when they get in your retina, you will see that these particles are behaving themselves are particles, and they were behaving like this for millions of years before that. It's a logical assumption. But what does science tell us about this? Science says no. How do you know? How do you know? You didn't measure this particle for all these millions of years, so we can only assume. We can base things on our ideas and talk about how this particle was behaving for millions of years until it got in our retina. Here, this moment is explained by Alexander Kaplan. He's a psychophysiologist, he's a professor of Russian university, he's a serious scientist. He devoted his whole life to explore human brain, and he gives the following example. If you see an object, Then this object, like on a matrix of the camera, it gets on your eye's retina. But what happens then? Then, on the nerve ending, it gets in your brain. There are only impulses that go along the nerve endings, only the signals, which brain is just reconstructing. So, we are living in a reconstructed world. So, we all have our own individual brain in the best way possible, and it reconstructs things the way it would be most clear to you. Everybody knows that there are colorblind people, and this shirt, which is on me now, somebody will say that it is red, somebody will say it is green, somebody will not see a color at all, because his brain doesn't know how to reconstruct the color. Everybody knows the examples when you are sure that you forgot your keys somewhere in the car, and you looked everywhere, and you don't see that they are on your table, because your idea, your brain, it's sure that it left these keys in a different place. So you are reconstructing everything that you see based on the ideas of your brain, and you might not even notice what is lying in front of your nose. There's even a legend that when the ships of Columbus got to America and they were standing on the shore, Indians were running around the shore as usual, as if they didn't see them at all. Because in the idea of Indians, it's impossible for this huge machine to be in the ocean and to get to the shore. Their brain didn't perceive that and they didn't see any of that. It's only a legend, but it's very similar to examples which we are facing every day. So if we don't believe something, it doesn't get in our worldview, most likely it will never happen to us, even if it will happen in front of our nose, as if we are building the wall of our ideas and reconstructing in our brain a different reality. Then how are these ideas formed? Everything begins in mom's womb. Everybody knows this joke when two babies are in mother's womb and they are discussing, does the mom exist? One says that, mom is there, I feel it. Another says, what kind of mom? You see, this whole world which I see, here it is, that's the only thing there is. This is similar to our idea about our world creation. So, when a child is still in mother's womb, in any case, he already perceives the surrounding reality. Everything that happens to his parents, what they feel, their emotional state, what they're talking about, he assimilates all that. And it's recorded not only in his brain, but also in fasci. Fasci is that white thing in cow's meat. Cow's meat. That white film which you are peeling off, this is fasci. They are also conducting electrical impulses, and they record our programs, ideas, stereotypes, fears, insecurities. All of that is formed in the mother's womb. And a child, for a bit, by adapting to society after birth, he continues collecting the concepts of this world. This is hard, this is cold, this is hot. And you know, he's trying out this world. Sometimes he's dropping a ball, it falls, and this way he's checking, he's measuring. Adults often don't realize that, but a child is checking whether this object will fall, because for him it's not obvious. This way he's forming an idea that, yes, if I'll drop something, it will fall with this kind of speed, and maybe it will break. This way, we are exploring this world. And you know, when you show the child's reflection in the mirror, when he's not 2 years old yet, he's smiling, he's laughing, sometimes crying, but he's perceiving the being which he sees in the mirror as something different. For him, this individual I hasn't been formed yet, this ego, this personality. It doesn't exist for him yet. These ideas are just being formed. But after around the age of 2, a child can look at himself in the mirror and clearly realize that, yes, this is me. And this me, he starts to reach, it starts to form it, it starts trying out to interact with it. And to be exact, then prefrontal cortex of our brain forms up until 20-25 years. Prefrontal cortex is responsible for action plan, for reacting, for logic of decisions. And when it is completely formed at the age of 25, it cements our identity, in this hard form of ideas, that I have an idea about how the world works, about myself, how I am, what people are, and based on this formed ego, formed personality, I am acting. I am communicating with other personalities. If we take an analogy, our brain is like a computer, and in it, these programs are being installed, these ideas are being installed, and it happens while our personality is being developed. So this pack of programs is being installed to this. But we all know that the programs can be reinstalled. So let's sum up. We are living in a reconstructed world of our own ideas, without feeling and without being aware of unity of the world. So what's the meaning? What is this all for? Those who are watching carefully, they answer this question to themselves. What does the quantum mechanics tell us? It tells that with a single question, single intention, we are already impacting this quantum field. And we are able to create, to form, to structurize this quantum soup, this unity field as creators. This is what we are training here. But why are we not successful yet? We are using our brain on measly 3% and mostly left hemisphere, which is responsible for logic, making decisions, but our right hemisphere is barely developed. It's created for feelings, for creativity, and we are using only a tiny amount of our potential, of what we are truly capable of. But for now, it's a natural evolutionary process. Imagine that a 3-year-old child would get a grenade. It is very dangerous. The same way, it's dangerous for a person who has not got rid of his insecurities, ideas and fears and patterns, give an opportunity to impact this unity field, which permeates everything. It's a colossal scale. Then he becomes not a creator, but you understand, he will do some things, simply speaking. Me and you are capable to reinstall our programs in a way so that we would become creators more and more. This is why we came into this world. The same scientist, Alexander Kaplan, who studied the monks in Tibetan monasteries, he and a group of scientists had a very serious research. They studied more than 45 high-level monks who went through different stages of meditation. They were connected to some sensors, and scientists checked what was happening to them during the meditation. They're still processing this research, there are lots of parameters, it's quite a serious scientific research, but what they noticed, firstly, during the meditation, the right hemisphere is active, which is responsible for our creativity and our feelings. And when we are meditating, when we are mindful, we are creating new neural networks, new protocols, which are developing our right hemisphere, which in some moments are giving us a new program set, which allows us to interact with this world in a completely different way. And those who agree with this notion that we came to this world to become creators, they usually get one question: how to do this quicker? Because not everyone's ready to live just like monks, to sit in meditations for 20 years in order to get to other levels of consciousness and to impact our quantum field. And even then, most people who discovered Zen, this Zen is being tested in practical things. He's being sent back to mom, and they say, check your Zen in family who has 7 kids. And not everybody can go through this, as you understand. So how can we do this? If you're interested to get an answer to this question, we had a set of recorded videos where in a simple way I explain how to open up the potential of creator in yourself. Check the links in the description and you will know how to get rid of rumination, the mind chewing gum, this process of constant spinning the negative thoughts and their consequences. You'll also know why not to fight your ego, and it actually stands in the way of awakening and true realization. You will find how to get out of your limiting ideas ideas out of matrix and to feel the unity of this field, this world, to live in the field and to create your material reality and be happy. Follow the links in the description and all the best.